He lied about $1 stock, made millions, and only served 22 months in jail. Then Hollywood turned his crimes into a blockbuster. This is the story of the Jordan Belfort, the man who scammed America and got rich again doing it. And the wildest part, people still cheer for him. Mayfly, Queens, 1962, a working-class Jewish neighborhood, where dreams were modest and ambitions had a sailing. But one kid, Jordan Belfort, had no interest in sailing. One lemon ice, please, for you. 2 for 1, but only if you tell 3 friends. What are you, 12? 16. And I'm going to be rich by summer's end. He made 20 guineas selling Italian ices. At 16, he enrolled in dental school. First day, the dean stood up and said, "If you're here to get rich, you're in the wrong professions." You understood up, nodded, and walked out just like that, because he was not there to clean teeth. He was there to get rich, and this was not the path. Next stop, meat. After college, Jordan launched a door-to-door meat and seafood business. Yes, really? You sell what now, ma'am? Flesh frozens, almonds free and cheaper than your local butcher. I don't eat red meat. Fantastic. Let me show you. Over premium salmon fillets. It was a messy, scrappy, but surprisingly successful. $100,000 a month in the sales, with no trucks, no storage, no clue, just Jordan. Hustling, grinding, melting steaks in the back seats, late deliveries, spoiling meat, mountains of unpaid invoices. It all caught up fast. Within months, the business went bankrupt. But in the wreckage, Jordan's found something that turned out to be his superpower. The product didn't matter. Steaks, surfboards, stocks. Yes, you could sell anything. Just like that, the salesman was born. Jordan didn't need a better product. He needed a better payout. Entering the Wall Street, Jordan landed an entry-level job at Rothschild. Alleged firms with suits, coats, and the cocaine in the bathroom stalls. It was the 1980s after all. This was where he got his first taste of real money, real greed, and the real power. He learned how the markets moves, how the brokers talked, and most importantly, how they sold. But suddenly, October 1987 came. It's a Black Monday. Phone stops ringing. Brokers stared at the crashing tickers. The market crashed. Jordan was fired. But while others mourned, Jordan saw something else. An opportunity. He discovered penny stocks. Pink sheets garbage. No serious brokers would touch. But here is the magic: 50% commissions. Same bitch, 10 times the reward. No fancy degrees required. Just a fast phone and a faster mouth. So Jordan picked up the phone, called some poor guy in Nebraska. "Hello, Mr. Michael? Listen to me. This is a company. It's tiny now. Yes, but it's sitting on a piece of technology that's going to be disrupt the entire home entertainment industry. I'm talking about the ground floor opportunity, pre-IPO completely, under Wall Street radar. The big guys haven't even sniffed this one out yet. But when they do, boom, we're talking a 10x returns minimum. You get in now and $1 a share, and in 6 months you will not calling me to thank me. You're calling me from your beach house in Miami. So here's what we are going to do. I'm locking you in 4,000 shares. Oh, good. Oh, I'm not really sure I understand the company. You don't have to understand the company, sir. You just have to understand the upside. That's what smart money does. They act before the crowd catches on. So, do you want to be first, or do you want to be the read about it in the Forbes year from now, saying, "God, I wish I had listened"? And just like that, he closed $4,000 with a single call. No rules, no regulators, no breaks, just cold calls. Found his kingdom, and he was ready to build an empire. Wine 1089, Jordan Belfort was already the next round. And this time he was not alone. Entered Danny Porish, a fast, talking, rank-snoring misfit from Long Island with the charm of a salesman and the instinct of a hustler. He was not from the Wall Street, and on some days, it didn't feel like he was from the same planet. But he could close, and Jordan saw something in him. Hunger, loyalty, no breaks. Together they were dangerous. Jordan had the vision, Danny brought the chaos, and that chaos they built their empire. Introducing Stratton Oakmont. The name sound prestigious, legacy of the leather-bound books. In reality, it was a strip mall boiler room, flickering lights, mismatched desks, and exactly zero regulatory oversight. Early recruits, they were not analysts, they were not even qualified. They were bartenders, college dropouts, and neighborhood hustlers. But Jordan didn't want experience. He wanted hunger. He didn't need thinkers. He needed closers. Then came the training. Jordan developed a method that is called straight-line persuasion. A psychological pressures cookers designed to turn stammering rookies into high-precious machines. Taught them to build hesitations, drawn-out doubts, and a guide a prospect from hello to where I do is send a check in a single unbroken line. Soon the office took on a rhythm, fast, loud, and addictive. Phones never stopped ringing, orders never stopped flowing. The energy was electric. Egos were growing, and so was the money. But Stratton's billions was not just to how it sold, it was in who it sold to. They targeted the forgotten investors, the working class retirees, the desperate parents, people Wall Street ignored. Stratton sold them hope, wrapped in urgency, dressed in false certainty, baked by the made-up projections. At first, it was obscure penny stocks, pink sheets garbage, names like BZZD or YUMY companies that barely existed outside their own press release. Or once the money started flowing, the schemes evolved. Now, it was not just fake company, it was real IPOs. They bought up massive blocks of cheap shares and turned the sales floor into a hype machines. Call after call, promise after promise, they flooded the market with the manufactured excitement, spiked the stocks, and then dumped everything at the top, leaving thousands of investors holding the bag. It was called a pump and dump, but at the Stratton Oakmont, it was called another Tuesday. By the early 90s, the firm had exploded. Stratton was not just a brokerage, it was a carnival. The office, a blur of screaming phones, air horns, testosterones, $2,000 suits, and enough narcotics to kill a rhinoceros. Jordan built a system where fear and loyalty were currency. Top performers were treated like royalty. Bonus checks, vacations, even watches tossed across the office like candy. Underperformers, humiliated, replaced in hours, and then came the parties. And strippers in the conference room. Champagnes overflowing into fax machines. Nothing was cared. Not the furniture, not the company car, not even the fire extinguisher. Someone once filled with a wiped cream and tequila. Jordan had officially become a current leader in Armani. He bought a helicopter. He named his yacht after his wife, Naomi. He owned mansions, Lamborghinis, and Rolexes. Success is everything. And if you are not winning, you are nothing. On paper, Stratton Oakmont was thriving. The board company's public, they raised hundreds of millions. The firm was growing faster than anyone could believe. But under the surface, it was all smoke and mirrors. Because when you can't sell the truth, you sell the dreams. And the Jordan Belfort had built an empire doing exactly that. By 1994, Stratton Oakmont was on fire, taking companies public, moving millions, and pulling in a national attention. But beneath the success, the structure was starting to roil. The firm's IPO's model was aggressive, familiar, and increasingly reckless. Same playbook. Overhype the stocks, oversold the dreams, and exit before reality catches up. But this time, they were not invisible anymore. SEC had flagged a growing list of the suspicious filing. Complaint was piling up from investors who bought in at $7 and watched it crash to 30 cents. Internally, some brokers were starting to ask questions. They were pushing stocks in with no revenue, no products, sometimes no working phone numbers. Management's answer: close the deal or get out. And while the firm grew, so did the complexity of the hiding the money. Millions were funneled offshore through the web of Shell's companies. Some accounts was under Jordan's aunt's name in the UK. Others were parked in the Geneva under the company names that didn't exist. At one point, Jordan moved funds using couriers, including a housekeeper, smuggling cash. Stuffed envelopes sewn into her bra. Jordan called it asset protections. The FB called it laundering. Inside the firm, things were changing. Drug use once a reward became a necessity. Colloids slowed their speech. Cocaine sped them back up. People passed out during calls. One broker had a seizure in the sales floor. Fight broke out over commission, women, or just too much testosterone. At least 2 employees had to be escorted out. After violent outbursts, his marriage to his wife was disintegrating. She had found pills in the couch cushions. He once crashed his Ferrari into a peeler while high on loads with his 3-year-old daughter in the passenger seat. Then came the Yacht Incident in June 1996 against the captain's warning. Jordan insisted they sailed from Italy to Sardinia during a storm. He was drunk, high, and convinced nothing could touch him. The Nyami begins to take on water in the middle of the Tyrrhenian Sea. On board, Jordan, his wife, their daughter, and over $2 million in jewelry and the narcotics. They had to be rescued by the Italian Navy. The yacht was destroyed. Jordan survived, but something inside him didn't. Back in New York, the walls were closing in. Journalists from the Forbes and the Wall Street journals had begun poking around. Former employees were talking, but most dangerous of all, Gregory Coleman, an agent with the FBI Financial Crime Divisions. Coleman did not just see red flag. He smelled blood. He quietly began piecing together a timeline. He pulled Stratton cold call scripts, spin it wire chords, tracked real estate purchases that didn't match a reported income. He found that Jordan was withdrawing cash and patrons of $50,000 at a time in cashier's checks, blared through the casinos and art galleries. Colin knew what it meant. So did Jordan's eventually. What Jordan didn't know was that some of his own brokers had flipped. One had been caught on a separate fraud charges. Another was burned by an unpaid bonus. They wore wires, record calls, turned over folders. And as the heat rose, more jump ships. Then came October 1996. Federal agents who had threatened Oakmont. They arrived just after sunrise. Phones were ripped from desks, filing cabinets emptied, hard drives were copied. Employees were questioned. The FBI had what it needed, but Jordan still was not done. In early 1997, while under investigations, he explicitly told not to move funds. He wired $2 million to Switzerland. The transaction was traced. That single transfer became the thread that unrevealed everything. The chase was over and fall had begun. By the late 1998, Belville was out of moves. The FBI had the recording. The SEC had the filing. The empire he built on cold call and false promises had finally collapsed. And now it was his turn. He was facing up to 30 years in the federal prison, wire fraud, securities fraud, and money laundering. The charges alone could have buried him. So Jordan did what he always did. He sold not stocks, but information. He flipped. He cooperated. He wore a wire. And one by one, the people who once worshipped him were handed over like receipts. Over 30 employees were indicted. Brokers, partners, friends, some of them had joined the Stratton right out of high school. They learned how to sell from Jordan, followed his playbook, and now they were paying for it. Jordan, he got 22 months in a minimum security facility. No fences, no cells. The guard didn't even carry guns. He played tennis in the morning, lifted weights in the afternoons, and at night, he wrote. That's where he met Tommy Chong, the comedian from the Cheech and Chong, who was serving time for the selling bongs online. Jordan told him the whole story. The drugs, the yard, the envelope of cash, the lie that became a lifestyle. Tommy wasn't outraged. He was amused, wrote it down. He said so Jordan did. In 2007, he published a bull for Wall Street, a memoir that read more like a victory lap than a confessions. There were no apologies, no rumors, just yacht, orgies, fraud, and punchlines. The public ate it up. He sold the film rights, he wrote a sequel, and in 2013, Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio turned into global blockbuster. The same man who lied to investors was now entertaining them on the big screen. Audience laughed, critics applauded, and Jordan Belfort, convicted felon, former fraudist, became a pop culture icon. But the people he scammed, they didn't get movie deals, they didn't get closure. Most never got their money back. The court ordered Jordan to pay $110 million in the restitutions. To this day, only a fraction has been paid. He claims he's working on it. His victims are still waiting, but Jordan is doing fine. He's a motivational speaker now. He sells success, teaches ethics, book stages around the world. He didn't just escape justice, he sold it. Turned 22 months into a book deal. Turned fraud into a fame. And maybe the scariest part, we uploaded. I was guilty of being greedy. He once said, "What soy is everybody else?" Maybe that's why he got away with it. Because deep down, we never wanted him punished. We wanted to be him.
If you like our story, please subscribe to our channel. We will be right back with a new story soon. Until then, goodbye.